Welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live. It's a Tuesday, Tuesday, September 12th. Thanks for being with us. My name is Madelyn Burke. I'm alongside Howard Cross. You can find us on social media at Madelyn Burke, at Howard Cross 87, or join the conversation on X, on Twitter, on whatever you're calling it these days by using hashtag Giants Chat. The phone number is 201-939-4513. As a reminder, you can find the archive of this show and our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcasts. Obviously, we're still just 2 days removed from a tough loss in the home opener, the season opener, Giants falling the Cowboys. I know we've gotten into that quite a bit ad nauseum yesterday. The phone line's already going off today, Howard. You know, one of the things that you said to me was like, listen, it's not as bad as it looked. And I just need you, for all the listeners, for all the Giants fans out there, for all the BBK regulars and such, to just expand on that a little bit for them.
No, it's not as bad. So it's the first game of the season. I think that, I think most of what was happening for the fans and for the team probably was the feel-good story from last year, Coach of the Year, making the playoffs, contracts galore. Everybody's happy. All these new weapons in here. I'm like, guys, And what did we say? Tough first start of the season. 3 out of 4 first games are night games. Primetime games at that, all good opponents. So let's dial it back just a little bit. Let's limit, temper our expectations. I've heard players talking about I've been tired of losing. We're going to take the next step. I'm like, God, relax. Now you got to go back. You're not going back to the drawing board. You're just resetting your expectations and what you're looking at. And now I think they're going to play the kind of football they wanted to play in the very beginning of the season, because they got like the wake up call. They, like as Mike Tyson said, what are you going to do when you get punched in the mouth?
Right. Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
And then, you know what? Then you got to go back to the drawing board.
Well, they got punched in the face, the head, the ear, the eye, the stomach, a lot of bunted body shots. And, a lot of things that probably won't happen the same way. You're not going to be facing that the number one rush defense in the country in the conference every time you play. That's going to help you out. That's going to help your offense improve. Your defense will, I hate to say it, they were basically stymied because the offense was on the field the entire time.
Right.
You have a pretty decent long drive. I didn't think the drive was great. I thought it was a long drive. I thought it was a drive because, hey, look, Michael Parsons was cut free, and he was like coming after him every play. And then after that, they get down there. Your all-pro tackle jumps because who's standing in front of him? Parsons.
Right.
The next play, the ball skids across the turf because it's a little wet. The next thing you know, they block a kick. I just learned yesterday that you could jump over guys. I thought they had banned that. They said, no, you can't jump over the center. You can jump over the guys on the outside. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm looking forward to that happening for the rest of the year. So it was, but the defense played pretty well in the first half.
Yeah.
That was one thing you could hang your hat on. They really did a good job. Again, I don't know if they did a good job or the Dallas just didn't have a lot of opportunities. Either way, it was it was pretty decent. I thought the offensive line did not play well at all. But again, you're playing against 2 or 3 Pro Bowlers on the same team, so you got to figure something out. There is a talent gap right there. They're going to have to work on. But again, you're going to get a team in Arizona next. Then you got to go to San Francisco for the same kind of crazy. Everybody open up the floodgates.
Yeah. Then you got Nick Bosa coming your way, a defensive front in San Francisco. That's even,
probably even more scary if you think about it. So it's just going to be, you just got to figure it out one step at a time. But, and I think that they're going to, I think coach and the crew also will be like, okay, we can run the ball more, a little more focus and giving these guys a little bit of a start, trying to help the offensive line out, get them some energy, I don't know if I want to call it injury so much, but, trying to give them some confidence so they can start moving forward. So I think there are some positives that come out of it, but you got to sometimes, if the Giants would have went out and won a close one, here we go again. We got it. I think getting punched in the mouth, even though it was embarrassing, may have helped reset their clock a little bit. So now they know that this is real and they have to get it done.
Yeah, and I mean, doing so not just in week 1, not just against a divisional opponent, but also on national television on Sunday Night Football. And I think that, every player in that locker room to a man, every coach in that coaching staff to a man, there's a sense of pride and ego, and not just getting beat like that, but not being able to put a point on the board. This team is not going to say, oh, well, oops, my bad.
No,
you know.
No, they're gonna rally together. They're gonna start to fight. But again, you gotta be prepared for something like that when it happens. Okay, whoa, wait a minute. That's not who I thought. Yeah. Now what? What are you gonna do now? And I think that's gonna help. I think that's gonna help them, galvanize them a little bit and start. They're gonna have to start doing something. And again, I don't want to call it a get right team by Arizona, because I thought Arizona played pretty well against the Commanders.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
So that's something that you can look forward to. We got to fix a lot of things, and we got to fix a lot of things against a team that's trying to get better. They're looking at us as the get right team, and we're looking at them as the get right team.
Exactly. And you can't really take any team in the National Football League for granted, right? If it's an NFL team, they're there for a reason. They're NFL players. Every
week it's something different. You never know what's going to happen. We've seen a lot of that all weekend long. Josh Allen the last night throwing 4 interceptions or having 4 turnovers.
Josh Allen 0-5 in his career in overtime games. What a weird stat.
Yeah, it is.
That's tough.
It is.
That's tough.
Flip a coin. They'll be talking about something else next week. So you can never tell. So it's going to be interesting to see.
It will be.
Danny had 2 turnovers. One, not so much his. One, he just was trying to make something happen. Got to get away from that. You can't even fall back into, I got to make something happen no matter what. Like, you got to just take the loss, throw it out of bounds, step out of bounds. I hate to say take the sack because he got hit so many times with throw the ball away.
He got sacked 7 times, and that's what the stat sheet will reflect. There were several more that were called back because of penalties.
I think he got sacked in theory 9 times, maybe 10.
Yeah, at least 10.
I think he got hit 11, maybe 12. I think that they may have said he got hit 10, but I think they got a couple other callbacks with the hits. So plus the runs. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he got hit a lot. So and I don't think he, that's not the I don't know, the formula for keeping him healthy for a whole season or having a successful season, otherwise. And then, they put in the backup quarterback. He gets in, he makes a run, and instead of sliding, he tries to take a hit. So I'm not sure what's ingrained in these guys. I know they're trying to make something happen, but hey, you have to understand, live the fight for another day. Fight hard, but live the fight for another day.
Right. And, it's tough, too, when you look at the way that this game against Dallas got out of control, really before even the Giants' defense had any significant time on the field.
Exactly.
I mean, the Cowboys were up 16-0, and the defense was on the field maybe once in that first quarter.
Yeah, they gave up 3 points.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So when you get into that big of a deficit, people talking about, and I see the conversation on social media kind of criticizing the way that the Giants' defense didn't get enough done. But, when you're digging yourself out of that big of a hole,
I think they wanted the Giants to create turnovers or do something, but they didn't have a lot of plays in the first half.
Right.
Then the second half, they started okay, now you're gonna get some more plays. Dallas is gonna try to run the ball more. They're gonna keep coming at you. So that means that these guys are gonna start getting tired, because if guys can run the ball and average 4 or 5 yards a pop, then you're going to get tired pretty quickly. If you don't stop them on third downs, you're going to get tired pretty quickly. If they have, if you get the call on the outside that you don't want, the illegal touching, the illegal contact, the weird pass interference call.
Yeah.
Right? So, and officials aren't going to give you, when they see it rolling one way, they're not doing something, quote unquote, to stop the momentum. They think they're calling a good game. And when you look back at it, you're like, man, we lost a lot of calls in that moment. But that's the way the games work.
That's the way the games work.
The cookie crumbles.
That's the way the cookie crumbles. But you know what? A lot of ball game left, folks. A lot of ball game. It's week 1. If you look back to last year, week 1, the Niners lost to the Bears in week 1. And look how that season panned out for those two. So a lot of things can change. A lot of narratives can shift. These teams are still kind of getting their sea legs, figuring out who they are. We're taking calls 201-939-4513. The phone lines are filling up. But first, make sure you go and subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. It features long-form interviews with Giants players, coaches, and front office staff, past and present. Plus, hear from the best analysts covering Big Blue and the NFL. Search for Giants Huddle and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or go to giants.com/podcast. And don't forget, if you are on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star positive review for all of our Giants podcasts. We've got the phone lines open, 201-939-4513, starting with Tom in Stratford. Tom, how's it going? You're on BBK with Madelyn and Howard.
Hi, Howard. Hi, Madelyn. I need some Madelyn talk down.
Oh, a little positivity.
I was so nervous when that was going.
You know,
I got you, Tom.
I never
giving you a big hug right now.
I wish I could. You know, everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I always said last year is I always thought the biggest advantage the Giants had was our coaching staff was superior to the other coaching staff. That we would outcoach them and make up for some talent deficiencies. Last night, Sunday, I just got the feeling that we were outcoached because when you're trying to pull your guards to block these super fast defensive ends on Dallas, it's not going to happen. And I would have preferred more straight ahead, plow them, run at Mekhi Parsons. Don't run away from him. I don't know. I don't think I didn't think they made the necessary adjustments. Yes, yes, they were down 16-0. But you know what? It's still the first quarter, and that's just 2 touchdowns. So, if we can march down the field again like we did at the opening drive, which, by the way, if that game had been played on Thursday night, they would not have called Thomas for that false start.
You're telling me. Yeah.
Well, for as far as the pulling plays were, I thought there were like 3 or 4 of them that Saquon just didn't hit. Like everybody was blocked down inside. The guard or the tackle who had pulled had knocked the guy out, and Saquon was following the guy who was blocking down inside instead of going busting it out to the hole. Once he sees that a couple times, that's going to change his run angle, despite who they play going forward. And there'll be teams trying to stop that from happening. I thought the thing that was pretty unsure on some of those plays is that when they brought an extra man up, they were the guy that was the guy that was blocking down was swimming the guy, trying to get up to the guy he wanted to block, and you just can't do that. You have to take the guy in that zone. You have to go on a lane, and anybody in your lane you have to hit. And I don't think that's coaching. I think that's them being desperate, because in that first drive, everybody says we had 6 yards or 7 yards or a run or whatever. That wasn't all runs. Mm-hmm. Those were trying. That was Daniel dropping back and then running for his life.
Right.
And that that kind of happens. We got the big athletic quarterback. He's going to make some plays with his legs. It added to the run total, but at the same time, it really wasn't adding to the run total because we can't get the ball down the field because there were too many leaks in the front. So that's part of it also. If there were more, like when they called design quarterback runs late in the game, they were all over it. Mm. So you can see the difference between when he drops back to pass and has to run, and when they call the quarterback run off, the pull, you can pull the ball all out and have to run because the guy's got the back already.
Right, the design RPO, they're different.
The design is still it kind of looks the same, but it's different. It wasn't working as well because they were looking for it.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Are we looking at the second coming of Eric Flowers when I look at Neil?
Ooh.
Please tell me I'm wrong, because I thought Neil. I'm still a big fan of his. I was just so disappointed in his performance.
I think no one is more disappointed in his performance than he is.
Right.
And again, that's one of those things when you have a great pass rush. They had 2 Pro Bowl pass rushers. They had one they were moving all over the line. Mm-hmm. So if he couldn't get Thomas on one, they'd move him inside. He tried Schmitz. I think Schmitz kind of held up pretty good against him. They moved him over to Neal's side to give him a shot at Neal. Then all of a sudden, you start to look. It's like the days of Lawrence Taylor or Reggie White. You start to look and try to designate where he is before you start to set you're not setting the front to the linebacker anymore. You're setting it to the pass rusher. The problem is if you got 2 or 3 pass rushers, like, Lawrence Taylor, 56 is right here. Okay, well, Carl Banks is still coming off the other side.
Right.
And Larry Marshall also is coming after you. So that's kind of what it was looking like when they were trying to get things set up, and it just makes guys nervous, and it's hard to block. But once they get a little bit more, this coaching staff is pretty smart in looking back at what happened, and they're going to be like, okay, let's try this now.
Right.
And if it was me, what I would do, I would just run at Parsons and try to see how many times I could get guys that like fall on him as we're going. Not that I'm trying to hurt anybody, but but how many times I can get him to stand up after we've come at him, like, and also you have to also remember this: they're not allowed to cut anymore when they get to the edges.
Right.
And so that's, when you get a guy out there that's athletic, quick, and fast, that all he has to do is juke you, and he's in the backfield. So it's like it's a lot more of, like I saw they put Bellinger on him one time, and Bellinger's a big, strong. We bragged about how he looks like, so big. He threw him.
Oh, like a stuffed animal.
It was like a chew toy. It was like he was doing this thing in the yard. He was tossing, trying to hit the circle. He looked like he was playing cornhole with him. He threw him like that. I felt bad. Like the kid Parsons is going to be a difficult match for a lot of players all around the league.
It's a tough matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it. I'll get off so other people can get on.
Thanks so much for the call,
one.
Tom. And, listen, to Tom's point about, hey, look, and, we had such an advantage in the coaching staff and this and that. To that, all I will say is that even Betty Crocker burns the brownies every once in a while. Even Betty Crocker burns the brownies every once in a while. Even the best at their job, at their best, everyone's got an off day every once in a while. We can let them have one.
I don't think the coaches have a lot to do with like what's happening when you're. I've played in games where I was outmatched. The team was outmatched. I've played in games where we outmatched guys. When it's happening, it's happening.
Right.
You just got to figure out your personal stake in it. Each individual player, like, okay, where am I going to go? Okay, I do not want to go back and look at this tape and be like called out every play. I got to do something the entire time. I don't want to get thrown out of the game, but I got to fight my fight here personally the entire time and try to get it going. And it's a different world. You don't get to see guys screaming and yelling and throwing chairs and like you see one guy doing it and he's ostracized for the next month or so. So it's a different world. It's going to be interesting to see how things go.
It's a different world indeed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of ball game left though. This is one game. It's a rough game. It's a bad game. We can own that, but leave room for growth in that. And hopefully week 2 will be a bounce back moment.
It's definitely going to bounce back. But
yes,
it's a tough schedule. Like I said, those first 5 are going to be interesting.
But you know what? It's why they play the games, right? You got to be prepared. You got to be professional. You got to be ready to go.
Yep.
And I think after week 1, there is not a chance that this team is not going to be prepared and ready for week 2 in Arizona. And this is not a team that you can sleep on.
Yeah, and Arizona's going to be an afternoon game, so it's not like they're going to get up super early. It's going to be like a regular 1 o'clock game for them. And then they have Thursday night with San Fran.
Yeah.
And then they have Monday
one game
night.
at a time, Howard. One game at a time. 201-939-4513. Giants fans, take your fandom to the next level with a season ticket membership. Stay connected to the club all year round, not just on game days. Memberships are now available for the 2023 season. To learn more about all the exclusive member benefits, visit giants.com/tickets. Limited inventory is available. The phone lines are full right now, so we want to get to some of these callers. James in Georgia on line 2. James, you're on with Howard and Madelyn.
Uh-oh. What's up,
Hey,
James?
how y'all doing?
Very
How you
good.
doing, James?
Phil, give me a second. I'll try not to be long-winded. Calling and kind of connecting to what I called about yesterday. I'm glad that you were on, Howard. I was hoping that it would be you or Casillas with one of the Three Stooges. And Madelyn, I love you. I'm glad you're on the show, too.
Thanks, James.
Yo, Stooge, what's up?
No, it's Three Stooges and Madelyn. I'm not as... I appreciate that. James is like...
No. She's not a Stooge.
Thank you.
Stooges was on yesterday. Stooges was on yesterday. And it's like, we the fans, I know we're just fans, and, we don't get paid to do this.
Mm-hmm.
We call in because we love it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
and they the last 2 times I've called in, they minimized my point that I was trying to make, while simultaneously making my point for me and arguing against me points that you made, Howard, in the post-game show, and Peyton and Fitzpatrick and other players make, like Peyton and Fitzpatrick made it on the broadcast last night or whatnot, right? So let me move on. What I'm trying to say is that it's not the reason that they lost the game, but at no point in the game did anybody show any fight to try to get out of what was happening. Mm-hmm. And Lance, well, that's a moot point. Now you're drawing at straws and this and that. And another point I tried to make was that Michael Parsons lives rent-free in some of these Giants' heads. Evan Neal being one of them. And Andrew Thomas, Lance said yesterday the reason that Andrew Thomas jumped is because Michael Parsons over there, and you got to pay him extra attention. That's somebody who's living in your head and scaring you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So moments later, when I make the point, I'm talking gibberish for some reason. So on the post game, yesterday, Sunday, whatever, Howard, you said, eventually, or you just said a couple seconds ago, I'm not going to get kicked out the game, but I'm going to do what I can to not get embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? To show up with some Giants pride, which we had what's our mantra? Tough, smart, dependable.
Smart, tough, dependable.
If you wrap all that up, you can call that Giants pride, right? We didn't have too much of that Sunday. We really had none. There wasn't much dependability at all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you making the point that I was trying to say to them, no, it's not the end-all, be-all, but these guys are professional athletes, and if they don't care about the game, then they're in the wrong profession. And if you don't wake up with a little bit extra to come and beat Dallas because you're playing for New York, these fans, then you're really not going to be here that long. Give me Odell versus Josh Norman every Sunday. You know what I'm saying? I know, you know what I mean? Don't get it. Don't kill nobody. It's a different game.
It's a different time, man.
It's a different athlete.
It's a different time. It's a different world. It's like guys. I watched all the training camp. I didn't see any pushing and shoving. Yeah. Even when they were playing against the other team, there was no It's just a different world, and it's happy, joy, hugs and kisses. Everybody, let's get a massage. They're like, okay, all right, give me some beer and wings, and let's get after it. That's a different time,
right? And I tell these guys work out, in the off season, whatever.
All
Saquon
together.
even said it while he was working out with Isaiah Simmons. They was talking friendly trash to each other. I'll see you week 2. I'll see you week 2. All of a sudden they're on the same team, but they would have had that little bit of extra. Oh, yeah, I got you once, I got you again. And they're like, oh, no, I don't think that, I'm just saying there's a little something extra to it sometimes. And, Moving on to this week, what do you see, Howard, that can be the X factor that we can point to that will get us above the X's and O's? Not just the individual person that has to play better, but what do you see as our clear-cut advantage, I guess? I'll take the rest off the air.
Thanks so much for the call, James. Appreciate it.
To address the first part of that, a fight, very few guys in the league fight. There are very few fights in the league. They've legislated them out of the game by huge fines. They're trying to protect the shield or the image of the game.
Right.
They don't like that anymore.
Right.
So it's just rare. Back in the old days, it was it was blood and guts, and we were in a different type of world, so it looked a little different, and I understand it. As far as what would you do when things are going bad, the crowd is getting out of it and everything, I personally would just do my job the best way I could and make sure on Monday when we're sitting in that film session, they're not going, hey, Howard, good job. But what you did, I just make sure that it was.
Yeah, you don't want to be noticed in the film room.
Don't be calling my name and saying I did something wrong was my mantra the entire time. So I worked really hard at that. And then what will be above the X's and O's? There are no above the X's and O's. What happens this week is that, if it's me, I'm trying to get Saquon started. I'm trying to get the offensive line started, basically. I'm trying to figure out some plays that we run well, something that we can do well. I'm looking at matchups up front. And guys, I want to get Neal and the guys that were having the hardest time, but that everybody's picking on now, but I want to get them going early. And the way to get them going early is let them mash some guys.
Yeah.
And then you do the play action off of that. But if you run the ball in the first series, the first play, you got to get 3 to 4 yards on it.
Well, we've talked about, too, ad nauseum, especially in the offseason, looking at Evan Neal and looking at the growth and his working on his hands and working on his footwork and working with Willie Anderson. And, he's at areas of struggle. And a lot of people talk about at the offensive line position how hard it is to translate from college to the NFL while making that transition, while also translating from the right to the left side, or the left to the right side, excuse me. It's mirroring everything. Your muscle memory is going backwards. And, yes, he's got a full season of that last year. He's doing it again this year. But it feels like still – I'm wondering, is it that the right side is just not as intuitive to him? Is that what it is? Is it that
no excuses for it. He's got to play better.
Right, of course. But I'm just curious.
But things like watching him getting his ankle spatted, early on in the game.
Right.
Like, is he tweaking things again? Like, what's happening? And then you get tweaked when you get out of position, and that kind of may have happened to him. I don't know. And again, I don't want to speak for him because I don't know exactly what he's supposed to be doing. I just know if the guy that looks like you're supposed to be blocking is getting by you, you made a mistake.
Right.
And usually the way you can tell if an offensive lineman has made a mistake, he is looking at the quarterback when he's sacked, or he's reaching down to help him up. That means that's your guy that's getting off of him.
Not ideal.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
To finish up on the caller, get him going early.
Yeah.
Give him some easy plays. Give him some plays. Some short sets where it doesn't matter how quick the guy might get around them because, hey, look, the ball's already gone.
Right.
And they're rolling away from you too. Things that will help him out where he can get extra shots or whatever he needs to do to get himself going in the right direction. Just like you would do that for a quarterback with some short, quick throws, you can also do that for offensive linemen.
Let's matriculate the ball down the field, right? Matriculating the ball down the field. We got to get it to the end and get some points on the board early.
I know we got those burners out there, but you can't start the burners. You can't get if you can't get the match lit. So
if you can't get the match lit, right? Yeah. Exactly. You got a young team. It's the first time the Giants have started a rookie center since in a season opening game since 1997. It's the first time they've started rookie corners in Tay Banks and Trey Hawkins for the first time in 1980. Well. I did too. Yeah. I did too. But again, it's a young, a lot of youth on this team that's looking to grow in that. 201-939-4513. First of all, run or walk with Giants legends, friends. The Giants Foundation will host a 5K race and kids run presented by Quest on Sunday, October 8th at 9 a.m. at MetLife Stadium. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt. After the race, stay for a post-race festival with appearances by Giants legends and a live DJ. Register now at giants.com/5K. 201-939-4513. Madelyn, Burke, Howard Cross, #Giants Chat. You know the drill. Line 3, Hugo in New Jersey has been holding. Hugo, thanks for calling BBK. What's going on?
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon.
I want to follow up a little bit here on Evan Neal. I guess I should preface it by saying that when we drafted Evan Neal, everyone sort of knew he had good tape at Alabama. One thing that did concern me is that because Bama had won the national championship and had an extended season, he opted not to work out at the combine. And I always like to look at offensive linemen at the combine because it tells me a lot about their traits, their ability to move their feet, mirror, their balance, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So that left some doubts in my mind, but I figured the scouts knew what they were doing, and he had good tape at Bama. Without a doubt, he was a top prospect. So, yes, on yesterday's show, John Schmelk said that if by the bye week, which this year's in December, he doesn't show improvement, that then the Giants really need to start thinking about a plan B for Evan Neal. So I have two questions, really. Mm-hmm. One, is it just technical with him, or is it physical? Because there are a bunch of people online who are saying he doesn't have the feet, he doesn't have the balance, he doesn't have the core strength to play the position. And then the second thing is, if you're not a rookie, because obviously a rookie's getting indoctrinated into professional football. Mm-hmm. If you're not a rookie, if you're a player second or third year, already in season, not in the off season, but in season, can a player make a big leap in season? Because I think some time ago on this show, I think it was you, Howard, who said, in season, it's about game planning. Off season and training camp is about getting your technique right, getting stronger, doing the things to improve. So if we got to start thinking about a plan B per John Schmelk in December of this year, is it even realistic to expect Evan Neal to make a significant improvement in season?
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. Like, I still think that his season went away last year once he got hurt. Then his whole technique and everything went out the window. Starting this year, I thought his technique was getting better. In the preseason, I saw him play a few times. Like, he looked like his technique was getting better. And then all of a sudden in the game, like I said, I saw him getting spattered on the sideline. That is not something that you usually do when you're during the game as you're getting taped up. So that doesn't help him a lot. As far as core strength stuff, he's a big, strong, agile kid. I think he's really tall, and I think that, being able to play lower is going to be something he's going to be dealing with his entire career. But I don't know from there. I'm not. I've tried to watch him in practice and everything, but they're not going full speed in practice.
Yeah,
they're not at each other. Like, everything's changed. Every team deals with the same thing, but can he get better? Yeah, I mean, he could definitely get a lot better between now and between Sunday night and Sunday, he'll be better. Now, but when it goes from Sunday to Thursday night and Bosa shows up,
well, that's I was going to get to that point, right? I wouldn't mind it so much if it was like Lawrence and Parsons doing a number on him. But in the fourth quarter, he was getting beat by the third and fourth string guys for Dallas. Those two hits from the right side that Daniel took, and they finally took him out of the game, were again like
but they got jumped off sides twice.
Right.
They called him on the second one.
Yeah. Wow, that's true. Anyway, he was having No, I mean, my point is he was having a rough time with Dallas's backups. Now, they may be very good backups, but you just can't pin it on, he's going to have a rough time with the Bosas of the world and the Parsons.
But what I'm saying, though,
because everyone does.
Right.
That guy at the end was, jumping the snap. And then that's something else that the Giants can do. They can change the snap count up. Because if they're going on the first count on every play or whatever they're doing, because I can't hear them because I got their headphones on during the game, but that could be something that can help them a lot because that will take them away from a big tendency. It'll also help the offensive linemen. But, today's game is different than a few years ago. A few years ago, you couldn't hear anything. And,
there were a
you
couple plays.
And now you see the guard slap the tackle, and then they snap the ball. I can't figure that out for the life of me because at tight end, I didn't hear the ball snapped at all. I just have to look at it.
A quick question, and I don't know if you saw this as well, but it looked to me on TV, there were a couple of times when Andrew Thomas had his left foot back. It was a clear passing down. He was ready to go in pass protection. It seemed like Evan Neal was like almost in like a run stance with his hand in the dirt. Did you see that as well, or was I imagining?
I think I think they're all in the same stance.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Thanks for the call, Hugo.
Thanks for the call.
Appreciate you chiming in.
Yeah, I mean, saying that they're going to have to make a decision on Evan Neal as soon as December. That's again, if he's not playing well this week and next week, there'll be a van out here driving around with big guys walking through the lobby. That's just
right.
That's just the way Shane and those guys are doing it. They found guys last year and brought them in. Pert better be getting his best foot forward so he can get himself ready to get some opportunities. Big guys don't grow on trees. They draft you in the first round. They will give you, they'll give you a little length in the rope. But if they have big expectations for the team and they feel like you're like a weak link, they will have guys circling through at your spot.
Yeah.
That's nothing against Neal or anybody on the offensive line. We saw the first year they came in, a whole host of guys like circle through until they found a group of guys. So, he'll have to do a lot. Again, him and Thomas both got nicked up in the game. Thomas got nicked up chasing, God bless him, chasing the guy, trying to chase the guy down on the block field goal. And I don't remember exactly when Neal got nicked up, but he got nicked up too. But you noticed that they left Neal in the game. They're like, you need to work, keep fighting. and that's going to be the big thing.
And you got to push through it. You got to persevere, right? You got to push through the adversity. I remember the first time I got in a car accident. The next day, my dad was like, "Get behind the wheel. You're driving again. You're not going to be like running scared from this moment. Like this is the same."
I would have took your keys.
I know, right? He probably should have. I got in quite a few more car accidents after that one.
Going through the roof, like, what is wrong with you?
Right, exactly. It's an expensive habit. But it's one of those things. Like you get beat, and instead of running from it, it's like no, stand in there and face it, and learn to pull that out of yourself and find that strength.
You do learn a lot from getting your butt kicked.
Right.
Like I
and
tell
almost
people,
you almost learn more from getting your butt kicked than you learn from kicking someone's butt.
You always learn more from getting your butt kicked than you do from winning. And you could win and a lot of things could be going wrong, but you won. Mm-hmm. So you feel good about the moment. Coach is trying to coach you up and get after you. And you're kind of listening to him. Yeah, coach, I did good enough. We hung in there. But when you get your butt kicked,
right,
and they're coaching you up, every word they're saying is important to you, and you're trying to get better at it.
Yeah, because you're trying to get better for yourself. You're trying to get better for your job security. You're trying to get better for your team.
Yeah, and like if you win,
your pride.
Yeah, you win.
Yeah,
we got
it done. We figured it out. It all worked out just fine.
I might come in for rehab in the morning. I feel pretty good though. And if you lose, you'll be in here early getting ice and taped and stretched and whatever they need you to do because hey, look, this group right here will get rid of me. So he'll be here. He'll be getting his stuff together.
Getting it together, keeping it together. 201-939-4513. 2023 NFL schedule is officially out and single game tickets are on sale now. Don't miss the Giants at MetLife Stadium this season. Visit giants.com/tickets to secure your seat. Also, the Giants' official connected TV streaming app, Giants TV, brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, and on the Giants mobile app. 201-939-4513. Madelyn, Burke, and Howard Cross here on Big Blue Kickoff Live on a Tuesday afternoon, September 12th. We've got Pete in Staten Island on the line. Pete, what's happening? Oh, no, Pete gave up on us. It's okay. I know we kept you waiting. Pete in Staten Island, try us back. We'll get to you soon. We've got Jiwan in Patterson. Jiwan, how's it going? You're on BBK with Madelyn and Howard.
What's up, man?
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing, Madelyn? How you doing, Howard? How's everything?
Very good, very good.
Good. That's good. Good talking to you guys. First off, thanks for having me. One thing about the game I can say is I've been a Giants fan for a long time, being 34 years of age. I've been a Giants fan since about 93. Mm-hmm. My father, following my father. So I've seen games where, that is just one of those nights, one of those days where, things were just not going our way. And, I just want Giants fans to know that there's no need to panic. Even though, I know we had 6 sacks. I think that's huge. Mm-hmm. Definitely got to clean up on it, but I just want Giants fans to know that there's no need to panic because, this team is different from recent years. I think they do know they will find a way to win. I definitely watched the Cardinals and Washington game just to see how both teams were looking. Mm-hmm. And the Cardinals are definitely, bringing the same, the defense is flying all over the place. But I mean, if they have Josh Dobbs starting, I think that's a plus for us. But I just want Giants fans to know, man, that that's just one of those games where, and I know you've probably had games like that too, Howard. In your time playing, that just nothing was going your way, And so just looking ahead, I feel like we do have, we have the Arizona, then we have the Niners, then we have the Seahawks. It looks rough, but I just feel like if we get a win this Sunday, that'll kind of build some steam, and I think this team should be pretty fine going forward.
Yeah, I mean,
in my opinion,
you're not wrong about how a little vitamin W can help a lot of things. Getting a win, getting some momentum, getting some positivity in the building, that absolutely would juice things up, Juwan.
Here's the other thing. Like, I tell people this all the time. People were asking me just yesterday, like, what do you think? Oh my God, what? I'm saying, listen, every day is a new day. Mm-hmm. You get better or you get worse, but every day is a new day. I played in the game one time. I think the ball touched my hand 5 times. I never caught it. It was tipped. It was like I jumped. I'm like, just dive for it. I'm like, dude, I'm not catching it anyway.
He's over here playing hot potato.
They're never going to throw it to me again. Next game, I caught 7 passes. I'm like, what is going on? He goes, I knew you were going to catch it. Just going to keep throwing it to you. I'm like, okay, I appreciate that. But you're like, so you just never know. So, but and I tell people, like, you can't predict what's going to happen next week, whatever. If guys are healthy, guys are going to fight, guys want to play, they're going to find a way to get it done. Got a great coaching staff. These guys are really smart. They're going to look at some things. They're going to tell Daniel, hey, look, I appreciate your big, strong, putting on 20 pounds, slide. No, seriously, slide. Yeah, but outside of that, I think they're going to do better. I think the defense will do a lot better. I think the Banks and Hawkins played pretty good game. And I think that's going to give teams some pause. Jackson on the inside. I think the one big play that Dallas had throwing the ball where Lamb got open. I think Jackson and somebody ran into each other.
Yeah.
It was Jackson and the safety, or Jackson somebody.
Why thought the tight end said a pick?
No.
Or is that the different player?
No, I think it's like they did kind of run a pick, but it caused the DBs to run into each other. So that spacing will get a little bit better, and that won't happen again. And they'll be looking for that from now on too. So that data disappeared. I think that's going to be good. I saw Simmons a couple times blow by the quarterback. They're just nudging him out of the way. I think his path and his dip is going to be a little bit better when he's coming in there, so it's going to be harder to get to him. And the guy, whoever it is, that's standing inside of him, is going to be harder to get to. I saw Nacho, one of the defensive, I'm like, interesting. Like the game's kind of like they're ahead by 20 points. He makes a play in the backfield, gets up and dances. I'm like, at first I thought, why is he doing that? And then I thought, go ahead, dog. Go get yours. Go make your plays. Be excited. So that's, that if his energy starts to flow over to some of the other guys, it's going to be great. I thought the middle backer played good. I thought he did all right. He got out of position a couple times, but for the most part, he was not out of position. He was making plays. So I think there are a lot of positives. I just think, again, the block kick, the quick hit on Saquon, and the ball popped in there. You got to remember, the D-line was getting through. When the D-line got through, he's got to clutch it. He can't throw it on time. Those are the things that was just going to cause issues. But the offensive line was what we've been talking about the entire time about. We got to figure out how to get them up and running. The way to always get the offensive line up and running is to let them run the ball and let them smash some people. And that's what I'm hoping for.
Right. Hey, one more thing about your drops in the past, man. I know you're better than Kadarius Toney, so it's okay. No problem. I know you're way better than Kadarius Toney.
That was one time over my career. I didn't have a lot of them, but that one particular game, it was a lot of fun to be sitting out there going, oh my God, and we still won.
G1 just had to get that jab in there too.
Everybody's been hitting on Toney, man. Hey, look, I get the Toney thing, but it is what it is. We picked him, so it happens.
Yeah, appreciate the call. Thanks so much for calling in 201-939-4513 here on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Madelyn, Burke, and Howard Cross on a Tuesday morning. We've got Scott in New Mexico holding on line 2. Scott, how's it going?
Good. Good morning, Madelyn and Howard. Good
morning.
I have a couple of issues. When a game like this takes place, everyone is complicit. And it's a shame because they didn't have to play as badly as they did. But it's water under the bridge, so to speak, and this is, as everybody's addressed one game. Oh, one point I wanted to make before I even go into my main point. Whether you're a Jet fan or a Giant fan or any fan, I want to acknowledge what a really tragedy it was for Aaron Rodgers to go down the way he did, because he's such a great athlete. And he brings so much to the NFL, so it's a shame that happened, but that's football. So
yeah, and for anybody listening who happened to miss that somehow, some way, Aaron Rodgers did fully rupture his Achilles, will be out for the entire season on the 4th offensive snap of the game. Tough one.
Right. But the question I have for you, I kind of believe what the first caller said. There was a lot of plays that I didn't understand in regards to having people block certain people and not calling audibles. I didn't see a lot of blitzing from Wink Martindale, which is his
calling card.
What is his calling card, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, which I was surprised at. But I wanted to get the sort of Howard's perspective. You've had a game like this. I believe coaches are always more complicit than the players are because they didn't get the best out of the players. What can the coaches tell you as a player to motivate you to say, hey, this was unacceptable. We may have called a bad game, and I think the Giants did, but how do they get you motivated to say this isn't going to happen again? I sort of harken back to a Ray Lewis where he said, I hate losing more than I like winning. And where is the players and where are the coaches that will be able to motivate you, a player, and say, this isn't going to happen again, because you have a whole season in front of you. So I was curious what coaches do in the locker room or what they do on the practice field to say you're not going to do this again, and what can they say to do that?
Yeah, and Howard, I know you'll get into more detail on this, but while I'm sure the coaches and the leaders on the team will have a lot to say in that regard, as a professional athlete, as a professional player, if you need somebody else to provide that motivation to bounce back from that week 1 loss, and that's a significant problem, because that has to be some inherent motivation as well.
I think a lot of that is sound bites, and we do a lot to glamorize coaches screaming and yelling and doing things. Now, back in the day, Parcells, it would have been really easy because it was in the 90s and the league was different. To be, I'll win the kid. Which seat do you want? Because you're out of here. You're not ever going to see the field again. And like,
aisle or window.
And he would just cut somebody. He would cut somebody important. Mm-hmm. Like, he's sending a message. I'm like, okay, well, he can't cut all of us. We still got to play. So that was one thing. My thing always was, as a player, was like, I wanted to grade out as high as possible every week. Mm-hmm. I never wanted to be a week where they could come in and ask me questions, or they would point to me or look, this guy right here is fighting every play. Check him out or something. That's all I wanted to hear every time I played. That's all I wanted to hear. If you're playing bad around me, that ain't my problem. I'll be, come on, guys, let's go. But I'm not going to use all my energy begging you to keep going and not play well myself. I've played in some games where we played against the Cowboys with Charles Haley.
Right.
And I'm like, that dude, we are not blocking him. I'm like, somebody, hey, why are you putting me over there in front of him? We're not blocking him. You can put all of us in front of him. Let the rest of the guys go. We can't stop him. Or Reggie White throwing the tackle 4 feet in the air as he runs by him. Like, we've had some guys like that in history. Like, I can remember playing against guys like that. But you just got to keep grinding it out. And we didn't win those games.
Yeah.
Right.
And we didn't. Well, and there was a couple times, more than a couple times, that those games were actually blowouts against us.
Well, my last question, I'll take it off the air. The thing that hurt the most in the game was not anything that the Giants did, is what Chris Collinsworth said. And what he did say was the Giants aren't cut out to come back from a 16-point deficit. And that struck me as really bizarre, because I watched the parallel game. I watched the Philadelphia team against New England.
Right.
And the score in that game was 16-0, by the way. Mm-hmm. And the final score was 25-20. And had New England's receiver been able to keep 2 feet in bounds, there was a good possibility they were going to beat Philadelphia. So when someone says that on the air and says, hey, the Giants aren't equipped to come back from 16 points, I really get kind of aggravated, because why are you on the football field if you can't get back from a 16-point deficit? And so I want to get your perspective, and I'll be glad to take the answers off the air, guys. Thanks.
Thanks so much for the call, Scott. Appreciate it.
Is this the Chris Collinsworth to play for Cincinnati?
This is the Chris Collinsworth to play for Cincinnati.
You got a Super Bowl ring, right?
Collinsworth slide, all that good stuff.
You got the Super Bowl ring?
Yeah, he has a Super Bowl ring, right?
No, he doesn't.
I don't know.
I tell you what, when we're doing commentary, including myself, Carl, Papa, you name it, in the emotion of the game and in the moment this is happening, you will say things that you feel that's going on in the game. That's a broadcast thing. The team is not built to come back from a 16-point deficit, when in actuality this team is built from a skill position look to be able to come back from a 30-point deficit, because you got speed all over the field, you got guys who can catch the ball all over the field, and you got a defense that, if something was going totally wrong, should be able to step up and give you something. The thing I said before the season, I think you were sitting here with me, Wink's defense is not designed to intercept balls, because when they're playing man-to-man and blitzing, your back is to the quarterback.
Right.
So you'll knock a lot of balls down. You'll break up a lot of plays. You may even get some sacks. But there won't be, like, the players that will get the interceptions will be mostly safeties, because they'll be the guys that are deepest looking at the quarterback.
And I think it's hard to say, oh, this team is not built to overcome this deficit. Were the 1993 Bills built to overcome the largest deficit with the Houston Oilers? Or was it a 32-point deficit in a game? I don't know, but they did.
It was the Kansas City Chiefs, actually.
No, it was the Bills and the Oilers.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember that vividly because it was the very first time I was watching a game with my dad. And the Bills were up, and I bet him that the Bills would win. And I said, if they win, you have to clean my room. And then all of a sudden, I lost that bet, and I cried. And so a young Maddie Burke learned very early on not to bet on football games. Because it broke my heart. But yeah, that one, core memory right there. Or, you look at even this last year, the Vikings down 33-0 to the Colts last year.
Yeah.
Were they built for that comeback? I mean, these things happen.
Or the more famous one, the Eagles and the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Eagles and Patriots in the Super Bowl, or the 28-3, the Falcons.
Oh, it was Falcons.
Yeah, it was the Falcons.
Eagles,
different
Falcons.
bird.
All birds are the same, man. Dislike them all.
Birds of a feather, what have you. But yeah, the Falcons 28-3 in the Super Bowl. It's like when you look at a team and say, well, this team isn't built for that.
Yeah, well,
you get. What does that even mean, right? What does that even mean?
Again, we say things and stuff. It's the emotion of what's going on. Oh, this team's never built for that, or oh, that's what losing does. Losing breeds losing. Or what's my other favorite one? I think it's something to do with momentum. This momentum, like, bro, all you gotta do is go out there. If you make one play, everybody's not gonna make a play. It may feel like that, but not everybody will do it. But you just got to keep grinding the entire time and keep getting after it. And I said this week, they're going to fly around in Arizona. Another bird, of course.
Another bird.
They're going to be flying around in Arizona. But to prevent and to stop that, you bludgeon them pretty hard by going right at them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the message. I think that's the feel that you got to get. And I think that's a whole bunch of people are going to be rolling over the pile and trying to get after guys. And I think there are a lot of calls for a fight. Let's get it going, but not a physical fight. But a lot of calls, so let's get it going.
Let's have a little grit in this. I mean, because as much as the Giants, like you said earlier, the Giants are looking at the Cardinals saying this could be the get-right game. The Cardinals are looking at the Giants saying this could be the get-right game.
This could be our get-right game.
These are two NFL teams, and they're not, they're in the National Football League for a reason.
And I like that everybody goes, the Cardinals are going to tank. I'm like, I don't know who's trying to tank on this team, but they'll be getting rid of me. No, absolutely not.
Right,
I never believe that.
And I understand that there are some moments in which organizations will say, okay, we're going to put this team in a position to perhaps look towards the future. No. But the players on the field, to a man, are not going out there saying, oh, let's just mail it in, because there's pride. There's personal pride.
No, that's the NBA and Major League Baseball, football.
Okay, so cutting Colt McCoy
it may not make as much sense as you think, but they're not tanking because the entire team is up for grabs if they do.
Right, exactly.
Like it's not like they're just going to draft the quarterback number one. That means they're going to have the first pick in the second round too, and the first pick in the third round. So that puts a lot of people in jeopardy. They're not doing that.
Which is why the players on the field are not for this, right? They're not.
Players do everything they can to keep their job. This is a livelihood,
This is a livelihood, and no matter what the circumstance around you, you're going out there and you're putting your best foot forward to say, I'm going to do this for myself, my why. Everyone's got their why.
We're all in.
All in, exactly. And you know what? The Giants and the Cardinals. Giants and another bird.
Yeah, and again, here's the other part. If the team is tanking and you're a player and you're a part of the quote-unquote tank and you still want to play, they cut you. Nobody wants you.
Exactly. Because they look at that. What did that guy do on that? I mean, there's good player, bad team moments as well. All right, well, that's a wrap for our show today. Big Blue Kickoff live right here on the Giants Podcast Networks. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of BBK. It's part of the Giants platforms everywhere, giants.com/podcast. My name is Madelyn Burke. He's Howard Cross, at Madelyn Burke, at Howard Cross 87. Let us know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And make sure to follow along for more. We'll be following all the good stuff here on the Giants Podcast Network. I don't know. This is the end of the show.
I'm looking for like another show.
You're over here checking your email. Howard's like, what's happening?
I'm actually on show.
You're pulling up a tea time.
No, I'm not. I'm looking at, that's the rundown for the game. Let me see. There's another show, Giants Hangout or something that I'm a part of them, but I don't know when
that's
it's
today. That's supposed to be today?
It's today. Is it going to be? No,
should be up now.
It's up now. Yep. It's called Giants Hangout. There it is.
Yeah, I do that on Thursdays, starting on Thursday.
I do mine the day after the game. So,
did you already record it?
I did.
So the one it's up is Lance Lance Meadow, Russ Salzberg, and you, Howard Cross.
Yeah, we did our first run without a guest to see if we could do this, and that I wouldn't like try to reach through the Zoom to grab Rush or Lance. It worked out, you know. I didn't get to. I feel you can't touch them through the Zoom, so it worked out.
Can't touch this. No. And then Thursday, it'll be myself, Jonathan Casillas, and I believe, is B. London coming on that one? Unclear, question mark? We'll see. You know what? It'll be a surprise for Giants fans. So tune in, find out who's joining the Giants Huddle on Thursdays. Hangouts. Yeah. We got so many podcasts, but also listen to the Huddle because that's a great one as well.
Absolutely.
We got so many podcasts. Tune into the podcast. Thanks for tuning into this one. Howard Cross, Madelyn, Burke. We'll see you next time.